What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Chaos Gym. With me today, I have Alex, who finished second at the Portland Regional Championship. What's up, Alex?
Um, I feel awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty good accomplishment. For those who don't know anything about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm 15 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon, West Coast, best coast. I'm a sophomore in high school, and I've been playing this game for 5 years, ever since the end of Cities in 2013-2014 season.
Sure. Okay. So, how has your season been going so far in the hunt for Worlds, I guess?
Well, this is my first year in Masters, and so far, well, until now, it was kind of lacking a bit, for lack of a better word. I went to Arizona and played Yveltal and did top 64. I was 6-2-1 and I bubbled out of top 32.
Okay.
And then in San Jose I played Yveltal, and my last two rounds I actually lost to Kian Amini and then Mark Garcia.
Yeah.
So that was it was an interesting experience. I mean, obviously I was angry that I lost the last two rounds, but yeah, this is and this is also my first year in Masters, and this accomplishment right here is probably my best to date.
It's not a bad one to have. So, talk to us a little bit why you chose Yveltal as your deck of choice for the six-man tournament.
Yveltal's just it's expanded for a while. It's just been my backup play. Like last year in seniors, it was all that I played and expanded pretty much, with maybe one or two exceptions. But the Yveltal got me my invite and then some.
Okay.
And I also won Utah Regionals last year in May with it as well. So
that's pretty good. So you've got a regional championship under your belt, even though it is in seniors. Still a win. So.
And yeah, so leading up to the tournament, I had no idea what to play, but I had it thinned down a little bit. It was either Vespiquen Flareon or Yveltal, just because it's always going to be a potential play for me. Mm-hmm. But so the night before, I went to a hotel to test with a couple friends, and I ran into Chris Collins, and I was playing Flare Bees, and he's like, "Why are you playing that deck? It's so bad." And I'm like, "Well, do you have any better ideas?" And he's like, "Yveltal." And I'm like, "Seriously? It's a good play?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." So he gave me his list. It was like a couple cards off what I used. He ran the fourth Trainer's Mail over the fourth Compressor, and he ran Oranguru over Sableye. Okay. And instead of running 2 lab, 1 parallel like I did, he opted for 1 parallel, 1 lab, and 1 reverse valley, which I thought was kind of weird. It's like you almost always hit a stadium, but it's almost never the one that you want.
Yeah, so, you've got that's too many at that point, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was set on playing that list, and until the morning of, I went in and I was still nervous, and I talked to some people and ended up switching a couple cards around, and then yeah, I guess probably one of the better decisions I made was cutting the reverse valley for the second Silent Lab, which ended up helping so much. And also cutting Oranguru for Sableye was a really solid change too. Oranguru would have been literally useless, and same with the reverse valley.
For sure.
I guess it might have helped in the finals, but actually I don't think even then. If you just play smart, you can do and Silent Lab Fury Belt, it basically does the same thing as Reverse Valley. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how I basically came up with the list. And also shout out to Nabil Hyatt for lending me a Silent Lab, which I actually never got to return. So
have a Silent Lab. That's a pretty
I,
impressive
like,
record.
I didn't bring any. I barely brought anything with me. Like I brought the Flareon stuff, and I brought like a couple Yveltal cards and like my big trades, but I didn't bring like any small things.
Sure,
Like
that makes sense. Yeah. And you don't have to go find it from the vendors last minute, so.
yeah.
All right. So I guess like this looks pretty standard. So I'll just let you jump into your report.
Okay. My round one, I played against. I think his name was Brandon Vey, and he was playing Turbo Dark. Game one, I actually lost because I opened with like a Maxie's hand, but it had 2 DCEs in it.
Oh,
So
God.
in order to get Maxie's, which is crucial in that matchup, I had to Ultra Ball. I had to discard one and I had to attach the other, which was really painful since I don't run Special Charge. I mean, I've heard a couple of lists of Yveltal run Special Charge, but ew. But anyway, like I actually Maxie's for Glade 3 times in game one, but I didn't have enough DCs to power them all up. And eventually I end him to 1 and he top decked the Dark Energy to Night Spear for game. And then game 2, I just set up and went ham. And also game 1, I also whiffed the turn 2 Sensitive Blade on an EX, which basically like let him keep energies on the board and just one-shot anything that any threat that I send up. But game 2, I didn't draw that badly. I didn't have to discard that badly, and so I ended up winning. But time was called, and I actually almost lost the series because I had to beat him. Time was called plus 3 turns, but I managed to beat him. So I walked out of round 1 with a tie. A little salty, a little annoyed with myself, but also kind of relieved. Because the guy also ran Malamar, and that was kind of annoying. But Turbo Dark has historically been one of my favorite matchups to play against, just because it's so like simple, just Glade and win, basically. But in round 2, I played against Mia Violet, and she recently moved up to Seattle a couple months ago. But it was nice to see her again. She was playing one of the weirdest decks I've ever seen. It was so you know how like she popularized Yveltal Dustnor?
Yeah, she loves her Dustnor.
Yeah, she like loves Dustnor. For her is kind of just like Yveltal for me. Actually, even more so for her. But it was basically Yveltal Duskrai, but she ran like a pretty thick line of Umbreon GX.
Okay.
Yeah, and like she ran a Flare Grunt, so it's like I start Fright Night, and I attach to it turn 1 because I start with it and I can't Dark Patch because I don't run Keldeo. She's like, Flare Grunt, and I'm like, crud. But, yeah, so game 1, I prized Archeops, and I had turn 1 Maxie's, but I prized the Archeops, so it basically allowed her to set up Dustnor. And once she set up Dustnor and he got a bunch of damage on the board, there was literally nothing I could do. Like, I just scooped to save time. Game 2, I know she whiffed Dustnor in games 2 and 3, which were the games that I won, because when she got Dustnor out, she pretty much won. And I can't remember what happened exactly, specifically game 2, but I won. But I do remember game 3, she prized so badly. So game 3, I think I opened a pretty bad hand, but she ended, and I drew an even better one. And I got turn 1 Archeops going for second, and turn 2 Glade, and she prized both of her Yveltal EX and her Hex Maniac. So I was rather relieved to come away with that win. And then round 3, I played against. This was like another really weird deck. So it was like the Outrage Reshiram with Volcanion EX. It's about like streaming like blue flares.
Okay, so instead of like playing like the babies, it plays like the blue flare guy.
Yeah, like he didn't play any Baby Volcanion. He didn't play any Shaman from what I saw, or Juniper, or Sycamore. It was like he just ran like a bunch of like Fiery Torch, Scorched Earth, Acrobike, Battle Compressor. You get the gist. It was just like a bunch of draw cards.
Like a straight Blacksmith Turbo.
Yeah, like ultra consistent. So game 1, I actually lost game 1, partially because. Well, I knew what he was playing, but like I didn't really know the extent to how consistent it was. And I also started with Fright Night, and I put that active, and I had Yveltal EX on the bench. I attached to the Fright Knight turn 1, but then he got turn 1 Blue Flare for 150 going second, and then I never recovered from that because I couldn't draw into Dark Patches to efficiently stream attackers.
Yeah.
So I just scooped game 1 to save time. Game 2 was just rather simple. I went first and Getsu slabbed him. So, and the rest took care of itself.
Yeah, that's a filthy combo.
Yeah, he was left with like just a Volcanion EX, and he top decked useless stuff while I just slowly killed him. And then game 3, this was kind of like a really hard decision. So like he went first, and he got turn 1 double Volcanion EX on the bench, and he got a Reshiram with a Fire Energy active, and I started with an Yveltal EX. He did, and the other crucial thing is he didn't Blacksmith turn 1, but so I started Yveltal EX, I Float Stone it, and I get Yveltal EX on the bench with a DCE and a Dark Patch, and I Maxie's Gallade on top of all of that. But I knew that he had double Fire in hand and a Blacksmith or a Via Seeker for it. Mm-hmm. So I actually I was considering Y Cycloning, but I actually decided not to attack. I decided not to retreat and attack, to just leave the Float Stone 1 active. Well, because if I Y Cycloned, he would be able to double Steam Up and then Blacksmith onto a bench Volcanion and attach to the active, and then Outrage for the knockout.
Right.
But the crucial thing was he would have had a backup attacker on the bench. And it's all in that matchup. I realized just you have to be able to stream attackers and make sure that he can't do the same.
Exactly.
So I just passed. Sure enough, he goes double Steam Up, but Blacksmiths to the active, and then Blue Flares for the knockout. But then I go next turn I go Sycamore, and then lab him, and then Sensitive Blade, knock out his Reshiram, and he never takes any more prizes after that. Kind of release some water. And then round 4, I played against Tauros Decidueye. Those matches were rather simple. I just Archeopsed him, and then used Sableye to Junk Hunt and set up a Gallade to deal with his Tauroses. I did find out in game 2 that he ran a Mewtwo EX, so that was kind of annoying. And but it was just really simple. Just Archeops, make sure you can't Decidueye.
The Decidueye decks didn't really play any counters to Archeops. I saw that in St. Louis, and so I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't, and he didn't run Vileplume either, so he ran VS Seekers and everything.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So I mean, it is kind of weird that I didn't see any Hex from him. But, yeah, so I 2-0'd him rather easily. Round 5, I played against Mega Gardevoir with the Brilliant Arrow one, and he ran 2 Tech Despair Rays. And he ran 2 Enhanced Hammer.
Okay.
I really need to get some water.
Sure.
Okay. Let me get a glass of water.
Yeah. Take your time. We'll talk about his list while he's gone for a little bit. As you guys can see, it looks pretty standard, and the big differences between his and Sosa's, I think winning list is that he plays 2 Gallade, as Sosa plays 1. And that looks pretty similar to most Yveltal lists. There's nothing crazy about it. Yveltal is known as one of the most consistent decks moving forward. Looks like he is returned.
Alright.
Brief intermission.
Sorry about that, beat watchers.
You are good, dude.
But, okay. So game 1, back to round 5. Game 1, he went first, and he got 2 Gardevoirs down, and a Hoopa and Shaman and Xerneas, I think. But he got Spirit Links down he got 2 Spirit Links down, and on my turn I went Tool Scrapper away both his Spirit Links, and then Maxie's for Archeops. And he ran Hex, but he couldn't. Well, since I scrapped away the Spirit Links, he couldn't really Hex and a Mega Evolve in the same turn. But he should have done that, I guess. Because having a Mega out a turn late is better than having no Mega at all, because his Gardevoirs were not really well equipped to deal with Fright Knights.
Yeah.
So I just like Pitch Black Speared, softened up all his Gardevoirs in case he did somehow find Hex and evolve some of them. But the real harmful thing was that Tool Scrapper, he told me. And so, yeah, I took game 1 rather easily, and he actually scooped when he scooped pretty early on. He knew it was hopeless. And then game 2, I didn't start as strong as I would have liked. I opened like a Jirachi EX. And it's like I actually opened a Jirachi EX and like a bunch of unplayable cards, like an AZ and like 2 Lab and like 2 VS Seekers or something. But I top decked Yveltal EX, so then I benched it and AZ'd the Jirachi, and so that he wouldn't donk me. And the game ended up with me. I found out later after the game that he only played 3 Fairy Garden. So like I was remembering Guardy Dragons in Standard that the way that most people could beat it was bump, get rid of, win the Stadium War, and then Lysander stall things. So that's basically what I did with him. I got rid of all of his Fairy Gardens, and then I Lysandered something heavy and managed to deck him. So it was kind of that game was pretty intense. And then round 6, I played against another Turbo Dark. We take those. But game 1, I dead drew and scooped for time. And the games 2 and 3 were just pretty simple, just Gallade and double Gallade and just sweep. And then round 7, this one was a pretty big nail biter. It was against a local player, Hayden Cameron Jacobus. He was playing Night March with like a Tech Tauros GX. So going into the tournament, like Night March was one of the decks that I hated playing against, and I also didn't want to play against Mega Ray or Volcanion or Groudon because I simply wasn't sure how to approach it.
Correct. Yeah.
But Hayden, I remember Hayden misplayed a couple times. Like he target whistled my Shaman when he shouldn't have, because like then I could Sky Return and knock out his Joltik. So he attached Fair Developed, but I top decked Tool Scrapper. So yeah, and then both games I managed to make him whiff DCE. And in game 1, it came down to him misplaying again and benching another Joltik when he had one in the active spot, and I had 2 prizes left. Okay. So I need Mr. Mime out. So I managed to get Darkrai with Energy, Double Dark Patch, Silent Lab to Night Sphere and take the game.
Filthy.
And then
filthy.
Huh?
Absolutely filthy.
Yeah, it was ugly. And then game 2, I basically I end-labbed him, and he whiffed DCE for 2 turns, which gave me enough time to kill, like, Comet Race ahead in the prize trade. And I got Darkrai Lab again that game to take a double knockout. And then round 8, I played against Alvin Ng. Is that how you pronounce it? Ng is his name? Whatever. But he was playing Night March as well. So I wanted to ID with him, but he didn't want to. So he wanted to play it out. And game 1, I lab end him, kind of, and he whipped DCE and Lysander to take the game, and so I beat him game 1, and then I offered him the ID again. And since he saw what had happened with Hayden, I guess he got scared and accepted it. So then I'm 602, pretty stoked. I want to play out my last round to get a better record for day 2.
For sure, yeah.
And I ended up getting paired against Dark Dragons, the first one for all weekend. And then game 1, I lost because I dead drew. And then games 2 and 3 were pretty close. But like Dark Dragons in a way is like a slightly different Turbo Dark. The only difference is that with Dark Dragons, you need to, 1, limit your EX benching because of Salamence, because if you don't, Salamence can just nuke you. And Dragons are the only things that Gallade can't one-shot. So what you need to do is you just pitch Black Spear once to set up all the dragons for like put them in sensitive blade range, and then Glade can just come in and sweep. Whereas against Turbo Dark, it's even easier because Glade can just one shots like almost all their attackers, with like maybe the exception of like with the exception of like Yveltal EX or Hoopa or Baby Yveltals.
For sure.
But I managed to squeak out the win in game 3, and then I ended up first seed going into day 2 at 702. So that felt pretty amazing.
Yeah, so you're in day 2, then you're pretty much killing it at this point. You've got a short road ahead of you to top 8, but day 2s, as everyone knows, day 2s are very hard once you're there.
Much harder.
Yeah. So I'll let you get into your day 2 then.
So I actually woke up at like 5 in the morning the next day and tried to get to sleep and couldn't. So it's like, screw it, just come down and get ready and get into my pre-games routine. Round 10, I played against Tyler Nomura, who was playing Night March with 2 Tauros GX, and he played a Ringaroo, and Hayden and Alvin hadn't. But so game 1, I started pretty. My opening hand, like Pokemon wise, was really good, but the only consistency out was a Trainer's Mail, and at the time I wasn't too alarmed. But then I Trainer's Mailed and didn't get anything. Uh-oh. So, and then he got like Night March to kill my Fright Knight, and I just scooped. Game 2, I was going to win game 2, but he target whistled my Jirachi and Lysandered it, and I prized my last Dark Energy to retreat it, and so I decked. So I was then now my record's 7-1-2, and so I'm kind of a little rattled about that game. The rug was pulled under from under my feet a little bit. But then when I see who I'm paired against the next round, I just get really excited because it's Israel Sosa. Mm-hmm. And to sweeten the deal, we were also going to get streamed. So that match was pretty close. I chatted with Sosa before, while we were setting up, and he's a really cool guy. He's really nice and really chill. Not a jerk like some players that you like. He's not an
ego. Yeah.
He's not arrogant or anything, which is really cool. So game 1, we both started off meh, and I got in a good Getsis, kind of against Mark against him in top 8 of San Jose, except he drew out of it, and he Getsis me right back. And then I junk hunted, and then he junk hunted. I think I top decked via Seeker for Getsis, and then I junk hunted, and it was and then he did the same thing to me. So, and then I junk hunted, and he Getsis me again, and it was just really slow. But and I don't remember how, but I ended up winning because I pitch Black Speared all of his Yveltal EXs and softened them up, so that I didn't have to put too many energies on my own guys to kill him. And then so then I won game 1, and then game 2 I lost because I was stupid. And I had to discard I had to discard an Yveltal EX turn 1 and let him kill the other when I should have just not. So I didn't have enough Yveltals to deal with his own. Game 3 was really close, but we ended up tying. If I'd had one more VS Seeker, I would have won, but they were all discarded. But and then if it had continued without the VS Seeker play, he probably would have won because he could have decked me. So I'm a little annoyed at this point. Starting off 0-1-1 on day 2 isn't very fun.
No, it's a tough road to climb.
But like I only needed to win 2 more games. I just needed to win 2 games, and then I could ID into cut. And then round 12, I get paired against Finnegan Lynch from Cut or Tap, and he's playing Dark Dragons. Game 1, I bricked and scooped for time. Game 2, I slowed him down with Lab and managed to take the win. Game 3, we both got off to really strong starts, but he ended up misplaying, and he was beating himself, and he ended up beating himself up about this like for like a while afterward, and I felt really sorry for him. But what he did was he tried to Dark Pulse my Fright Knight with Mew, but there was a Lab in play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like, and then I Pitch Black, so I just ended up Pitch Black Spearing, knocking out the Mew, and then softening up a Dragon on the bench, and then just Gallade just finished everything off. And so then that was that. And then round 13, I played against Dark Dragons again. And then it was like, and then game 1 I bricked, same as round 12. And then game 2, he actually could have won if he'd known what resources I had left. I had a Gallade with a Dark on the field. I had 2 prizes left, and I had a Dark on an Yveltal EX who was in the active, and I had 1 Dark left. And it ended up that like he misplayed. Like he didn't know it was a misplay, but if he hadn't killed my Yveltal EX, he would have been able to deck me because I didn't have I prized my Darkrai EX and my AZ, and so like, but since he killed it, I was able to go Gallade, attach for turn, be a Seeker Lysander something up, and go to game 3. And so game 3 was extremely close. I used up 3 VS Seekers pretty early, and he got off to a really slow start. Like if I hadn't been like kind of like if I hadn't had to use so many resources early, I would have won a lot easier. But I couldn't draw into my last VS Seeker to take the game really quickly, and I was really worried about tying. So like I just was like playing really fast, and
sure.
But Pitch Black Spear just put in work that game.
Yeah.
Pitch Black Spear to Shaman, he had to use a VS Seeker to AZ. He had to use his supporter to AZ it up, and then eventually I just like damaged everything on his board so significantly that no matter what he did, I would take a prize. So now I just ended up winning, and round 14 I ID'd with Andrew Jackson into cut, and so at this point I'm just totally stoked.
Yeah, top 8.
This isn't the first time that I top 32 at regionals. That was Anaheim, but this is the first time I've top 8'd one in Masters.
Yeah.
So I'm just like trying not to hyperventilate from excitement.
So
but then
it's pretty sick. I know the feeling. It's like it's an exhilarating feeling, but you've still got a road ahead of you.
Yeah.
So I'll let you jump into
but
that.
But then when I saw who I was paired against in top 8, I was just like, oh, why me? I was paired against Alex Koch, and you know what he's playing. Yeah. So at first I was like really nervous because my track record against Sableye Garb with Yveltal has been like, I lost to one at San Jose, but I mean, like I had read like stuff on how to deal with it. Like Finn, I think wrote in one of his articles, he detailed how to beat it, and I also talked with some people who I test with a lot. And since the key thing was that I ran a Sableye of my own, like that was the most important part. Without it, I just lose. And I ran a Getsis and a Tool Scrapper. The Tool Scrapper actually wasn't like, and didn't end up being too impactful, but it was really nice because I can just scrap her off the guard and be able to retreat and whatnot. So I win, and this one's on stream. So game 1, I open Yveltal EX, and I have Jirachi in my hand. So like I'm going first, so like, okay, I'm gonna Getsis him. So I Ultra Ball, and for a second I think my Sableye is prized, but it's not. It's just at like near the top of my deck. Mm-hmm. So I breathe this. I just go whew, and then I grab the Sableye out so that he can't like maybe get lucky and trick shovel it away. So then I check my Getsus isn't prized either. So I bench after I Ultra Ball for Sableye. I don't bother shuffling my deck. I just bench Jirachi and then have the Getsus, and I actually Getsus away like 2/3 of his hand. Okay. So like it was like a 2 Trainer's Mails, an Ultra Ball, a Crushing Hammer, and then he was left with like a Lysander and a Delinquent in hand. So and then I drew into like Dark and a DCE and like a Float Stone. So then I attached them after Yveltal EX, hold the Float Stone, and via Secret for Sycamore in case he top decks Getsus or something. And then on his turn, he just top decks Lysander. So then he just Lysander's Jirachi and passes, and I just go Float Stone, DCE, Yveltal for game. Okay. So then that was a really uneventful game 1.
Yeah.
And then game 2. I opened Darkrai EX, which he immediately headringers, and then so I think I don't get an Ultra Ball turn 1, so I'm a little nervous if he manages to trick shovel away my Sableye. But he kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, because he like the crucial thing was that he didn't get Trubbish down turn 1. But eventually I got to the point where it's like, say I have the Sableye, and then I have everything I need in my discard. I have the Dark Patch. Like I actually compressored away the Dark Patch and everything, so that I could Junk Hunt for it. So it's like Junk Hunt for VS Seeker Dark Patch. If he Flare Guns off my Sableye, then I VS Seeker for AZ, bench the Sableye, Dark Patch to it, retreat, and then Junk Hunt continuously. And I also Getsus him. I Getsus him like every chance I got. And eventually, I guess I stuck him with a dead hand, and then I just Night Speared until I won. So that was like, it was pretty fun, I want to say, but that sounds kind of cruel.
Yeah.
But then top 4, I played against Andrew Jackson, and he was playing Mirror, except he ran Kukui and a Tauros GX and a Delinquent. I didn't run any of those cards. Mm-hmm. And so going into that match, I was really, really nervous because the Kukui makes it for some incredible math on his side. Like with Kukui, his Gallades can one-shot Fright Knights, and like they can also and then like his Yveltals like need one less energy to like kill stuff. So like with Kukui, like the math on the Gallade with the Kukui is if the Gallade has a DCE, then Andrew just needs like either Reverse Valley or Fury Belt, and then like a DCE and a Dark Energy and a Kukui, I think, to take the knockout. So like I was really nervous, and like I think I won the flip. Or no, I think he won the flip, but he didn't go Maxie's Gallade at all.
Sure.
And so I got a really early Pitch Black Spear on a really crucial Pitch Black Spear on his Yveltal EXs, which is basically how you win the mirror. You have to Pitch Black Spear and soften up all their big attackers to something that to make it that you just need to invest minimal resources to finish them off, whereas they have to extend against you, and it's likely that they can't extend. But yeah, that was a pretty quick game 1, and then game 2, he benched like 2 Yveltal EXs, and then I found out that he ran 2 Shaman and a Jirachi, and he benched all of them. So like I think his bench was like full. It was like 2 or 3, like 2. I think 2 Yveltal EXs and 3 Yveltal EXs, I think, and like 2 Shamans and a Jirachi. So it's like not very like useful stuff except for the Yveltal EXs. So it's like just I told myself just Pitch Black Spear and then just make sure you have a backup attacker, and the rest will take care of itself. And that's basically what happened. Or no, oh wait, he started Tauros. He started Tauros that game, and then he got double Yveltal EX and like double Shaman and Jirachi. So I had to Maxie's Gallade to deal with the Tauros, but it wasn't that bad. So yeah, and then eventually, and then he ended me, and I think I drew via Seeker for game. And then that was top 4. So now I'm on to the finals.
Yeah, and it's probably an ecstatic feeling. You're up against the king of darkness himself, Sosa.
Well, my game finished before Sosa's did, and my top 8, actually, in top 8 and top 4, my match was the first one to finish both times.
That's a pretty good feeling.
Except in top 4, it was like even more like eager anticipation, because like I would rather play against Sam Huff because he's playing Turbo Dark, which is a lot easier than like Sosa, because it's Sosa. And like he knows the deck, like just like he knows the deck probably more than he even knows the inside of his house, to be frank. Like
very true.
Yeah. Like no, the deck, what am I saying? The deck is his home. Yeah, like and like off topic, like I remember when he won Arizona Regionals back in like last year. I remember one of the announcers saying like in his daily routine he probably gets up and eats a bowl of dark patches for breakfast. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Like so true.
Finals. You're up against Sosa. Run us through that one.
It was intense, to say the least. And fun, actually. Like both of my matches against him in Swiss and in Cut, they were probably the funnest matches of the whole weekend. And he thought the games were really good too. So, and for those of you who don't like, who just hawk on me for like forgetting the details, the stream's right there. Just go watch it.
I'll drop a link to the stream in the description if you guys want to check that out too.
Yeah. But game 1, I didn't get off to a very good start, and he basically ended up taking a double EX knockout with Pitch Black Spear. And I guess some people would say I misplayed, but I just needed to get that Pitch Black Spear off super soon. But and I tried doing like Silent Lab Lysander stalls, or just Pitch Black Spear and spread damage all over his board. But he had like AZ to retreat as the Darkrai that I Lysandered up. So like I asked him after game 1 if he thought I had misplayed, and he said no. He just thought he had an answer to everything that I pulled out.
Right, which is fair. Yeah, you usually want them to answer what you're doing, and he had it.
Yeah, he had it every time. So, and then game 2, he started off terribly. He just like Darkrai, Sycamored, and then Energy Fury Belt, Lab, and Pass. And I ended up benching him because he didn't draw another basic. And then that was a relatively quick game 2. And then game 3, that was hilarious. Like, so we both started off terribly. He just benched. He had like Darkrai X active and Yveltal X on the bench. He drew like Past or something, but I started Sableye and my hand was atrocious. Like I actually had to I compressored away like a Sycamore, Gallade, and Maxie's in case I top deck via Seeker, and then I actually DCE'd and Confuse Raid because my hand was that bad. And then he got Float Stone on his active, and I'm like, oh baby, please no. But so then he Sycamore, and I'm like, do you have the game? And he's like, nope, you live to see another day. And I'm like, woo! And then I top deck Yveltal EX. My hand's like Maxie's and Silent Lab and stuff. And what I did was I benched the Yveltal EX, and then I AZ'd it back up and put it back down to get that supporter out of my hand. Because at this point I need to go for Maxie's, because unless I top deck via Seeker, like I just need to top deck an Ultra Ball or like something. Mm-hmm. So I Confuse Ray again. This time he gets the knockout on the Sableye. I top deck Dark Patch, so I'm just left with Dark Patch Maxie's in hand. And even if I had a bench Pokemon, a bench Dark Pokemon, there are no energies in my discard, so I just have to pass. He draws. He smacks me for 90 with Y Cyclone. And then I draw, and then I top deck Computer Search.
Okay.
So I get Maxie's Gallade. I basically, there's no point letting attaching to the Yveltal EX because it's just gonna die. So I let him kill it, and then I start trying to end him and make him whiff stuff. And it eventually gets down to where he has like 1 or 2 prizes left. I think it's 1. And I have 2 prizes left. My Yveltal EX has 90 on it. His has no damage, but it's my turn. So it has a Fury Belt, and he needs 1 energy to take the game. And so like if I had a DCE instead of the double dark, like if I had a dark and DCE, I could have Y Cycloned and avoided what happens next. So I debated ending him because like I knew his only card in hand was Fright Knight because I guessed him earlier on.
Sure.
But so like if I end, I would still have 1 Via Seeker left after the N, and but if I held into it and he whiffed the energy, then I would have the Via Seeker in my hand to Lysander hit his Yveltal EX back up for game. And I ended up just going with my gut, which ended up not being the good decision, and just didn't end him and just Evil Balled for 110, and then he top decked the Dark Energy for the game.
Unfortunate.
So
yeah, second place.
Like,
Still not too bad.
Yeah, and given any other situation, I would have been salty. But since I lost, like, since it's the finals of a regionals, I've done so good anyway. So like, it's not really that big of a deal to miss out on like 40 extra points and like double the money that I would get for second. I mean, obviously it'd be nice to get all that, but I mean, my rewards are so good anyway that like, there's no point being salty about what could be and what has been. So, and also I lost to Sosa, so there's no real shame in that.
Not at all. So second place, pretty good still. So I'll leave you with the floor if you have any shout-outs, any call-outs, whatever you want to do here.
So I actually have a list. Shout out to the Young family, Paul in particular. You've been super helpful to me almost my whole career. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. Shout out to Joe Haybear. You almost convinced me to play Vespiquen Flareon. Glad in hindsight that you failed, but thanks for trying anyways. Ethan Colborn, Hamster Boy, congrats on second and seniors at Oregon with Groudon. Shout out to Sosa. If you're ever watching this, I hope you are. I've respected you for a while, and it was really fun to meet you and play against you. Shout out to Keon Amini, being a homie. Shout out to Drew Kennett for the bracket. You know what that means. So shout out to my family who are watching me on stream. And shout out to Oregon TOs. Shout out Mr. Raichow. I hope you ever watch this. Just so you can get that. And then shout out to Nabil Hyatt for the lab. So, and I guess shout out to the Chaos Gym for what the heck.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, and huge congrats again. Hopefully you can make the final push for your Worlds invite.
102 points away. Let's go for it.
It's not too far away. Gotta just hit some cups up and make it there.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck in Utah coming up, and we will catch you later.